What up, YouTube? Alonso Q. Wanted to talk to you about voting real quick. If your Twitter feed, YouTube feed looks like mine, you probably got some of these advertisements for Voto Latino and these Get Out the Vote campaigns. These guys are hitting it pretty strong. This Voto Latino, and I got beef with these guys. And these Get Out the Vote campaigns, I think it's stupid because they're so dishonest. These people don't give a fuck about democracy. They don't care about the rule of law. They don't care about the institution of voting. They don't care about any of this stuff. They don't care about your voice. All they care about is getting Democrats elected. And so they're reaching out to low information voters and they're saying, get out there and vote. Do you know how important this election is? You wouldn't let Hitler get elected, would you? They're not going that far, but they might as well be, because that's what the Democrats are pushing. And it's just, it's foolish, man. Look, before you vote, you need to ask yourself some important questions. Like, have I read the Constitution? Like, what is the role of government? Like, what are my personal philosophies about government? What do I think the government has the right to do? What does the government have the right to do? Do I understand economics? Have you ever taken an economics class, read an economics book? How much do you know about history? What do you know about the Bill of Rights? What do you know about why we have a Second Amendment? Do you think Second Amendment's for hunting, or do you think it's to defend against tyranny? If you don't understand the Second Amendment, you have no business voting, in my opinion. If you don't understand the Constitution, you really have no business voting. So, these people are dishonest. They put it out under the guise of everybody needs to vote. It's your civic duty. It is not your civic duty. Voting is something only informed people should do. And here's why it's ridiculous. Because if one individual spends months and months researching the candidates, finding out where they stand, what their administration might look like, if you put all this thought into your decision just to go get canceled out by some Voto Latino asshole who comes in and votes just because Scarlett Johansson told him to, well, that messes up the whole process. You're encouraging uninformed voters to vote. That hurts everybody. If you're not aware of the issues, if you don't know what the role of government is, or you don't know how this policy affects that, all you're doing is going based off of rhetoric, going based off of attacks, going based off of what sounds good. Yeah, $15 minimum wage sounds good. Yeah, tax the rich and give all the money to the poor. That sounds good. But do you have any understanding of economics? Do you know why those are bad ideas? They're really good at selling you things that sound good, but if you don't understand economics, if you don't understand the role of government, if you don't understand the limitations of the Constitution, you don't understand how these people up there are promising you everything, but they don't even have the authority to deliver it. So I hate these campaigns where they tell you get out and vote, rock the vote, Voto Latino, your voice needs to be heard. Your voice doesn't need to be heard. And voting isn't the most important form of civic participation. You should be talking about government with people. You should be talking about politics and economics. You should be studying. You should be teaching other people. And you should be behaving in your life the way that you want to impact the world. Your dollar has more political value than your vote. So vote where you want change to go. This idea of every 4 years getting off the couch and going to vote for a Democrat is somehow all it takes to be a member of society. No, man. These people are just trying to milk you for your votes. It's not about everybody getting your vote out. If you knew I was going to vote against you, you wouldn't tell me to go out and vote. You're just being dishonest about it, and you're framing it in a way of, yeah, everybody should vote. No. How does that work? Why do you want two people to go vote when they cancel each other out? I'll tell you straight up, if you're voting for Hillary Clinton, I do not want you to vote. Stay the fuck home. If you're voting for Donald Trump, I don't particularly want you to vote. And if you're voting for either of those two people, chances are you're a low information voter and you don't know much about economics and you don't know much about the Constitution. So every one of you that votes cancels out my vote and some. People who vote third party actually research the candidates and they vote third party out of principle. But how much percent of the vote do they ever get? And because it's watered down by people who don't care about this stuff. They don't follow the news. They don't care about policy positions. All they know is they're on red team or blue team. So the more you encourage these red team, blue team idiots to get out there and vote, the more you're hurting democracy, the more you're hurting our republic, the more you're hurting everybody, especially all taxpayers, because they're the ones that are getting us into wars. They're the ones that are have these disastrous social policies that have us spending billions of dollars on law enforcement, on the war on drugs, and all these ridiculous policies that the Democrats and Republicans both support. They're draining, they're a drain, they're a parasite on the American people. Getting out there and voting for these two parties doesn't solve anything. Any change you want to make, you got to make it yourself within your community. You can't count on Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton saving you. And they're not going to do anything. On top of that, if you don't know where you stand, and at the very least, take one of these quizzes, man. Take one of these isidewith.com or ontheissues.org. These different political compass tests, or these. Take a political compass test. Take a I side with test. Find out where you match up with these people. At the very least, find out somebody who's in line with your way of thinking. But beyond that, you should go a step further and question your own way of thinking. Ask, why do you believe what you believe about government? You just, it's easy to look at a government and say, oh, well, it would be better if the government did this, and it would be better if the government did that. But how often do people ever raise the question of, does the government have a right to do this? Should the government even be able to do this? Yeah, it sounds great if you can take all the money from the rich and distribute it to the poor. But does the government have a right to do that? Does the government have a right to be putting tariffs on your trade with foreign countries? Do they have a right to be taxing you out of existence? Are taxes moral? Fundamental questions about the role of government and economics. If you don't ask yourself these questions, then you're an uninformed voter and you have no business in the booth. So stay home, don't vote. Voting is overrated. These get out the vote campaigns have nothing to do with democracy. They have nothing to do with the Constitution or exercising your civil duties to society. It is 100% about electing Democrats. And the more uninformed you are, the more likely you're going to vote for a Democrat, because these people are nothing but liars. They push higher taxes. They hurt the economy, and they hurt everybody. They keep people dependent for decades and run their cities into the grounds, but then they frame themselves as the good guys and expect you to back them up. Don't fall for their bullshit. Don't buy this voto Latino nonsense of your voice is more important than ever. Your voice is what you want it to be. If you want your voice to be limited to the community, don't go hop in the voting booth if you don't even know who you like or what you believe in. If you don't have strong political opinions, just stay home. It doesn't affect you. And the difference between two parties is so insignificant that you getting in there, really, it doesn't add anything of value to the conversation. You're not, like I said, you're not advancing democracy by putting your uninformed vote out there. It's the same with a survey. If somebody asks you a question and you don't know the answer, you don't just pick A or B. You say, I don't know. That way they get an accurate representation of what people believe. If you just say, my parents voted blue, I'm going to vote blue, That's just what I've always done. I always voted blue, so I'm gonna vote blue again. I've always voted red, so I'm gonna vote red again. Doesn't help anybody. Get informed on the issues or don't vote. So let's start a new campaign. Don't vote. Just straight up, don't vote. If you don't believe in who you're voting for, don't vote. If you don't understand what you believe, don't vote. If you haven't read the Constitution, don't vote. So that's pretty much it. Just don't vote. Stay home. Make your voice heard in another way, or study the candidates and then go vote. But don't vote if you don't know what you're doing. These guys, stop it. Celebrities, stop telling people to go vote. Voto Latino, stop telling people to go vote. You don't need a vote. The democracy will be fine without you. The country will be fine without you. Stay home if you don't have an informed opinion. That's all I got to say. What do you think? Are you going to vote? Who are you going to vote for? Are you registered? Here in New Mexico, registration is on October 11th. A couple of days, a week or so left for you guys to register if you want to vote. But don't vote just because people pressure you into it. Only vote if you believe in it. So, yeah, let me know what you think. Like, subscribe. Peace, gente.